Bears fans, very quickly before we hop into today's video, the vast majority of people who watch the videos on the channel are not subscribed. So if you are a Bears fan and if you enjoy the Chicago Bears content that we make on the channel, I would really appreciate it if you guys would consider subscribing. With your help, we can build this channel up and it can become a big community of fellow Bears fans. Thanks guys, and enjoy the video. Okay, so this is an interesting and relevant topic. What would the Bears actually have to give up to get Russell Wilson in a trade from Seattle? Okay, I think there's a couple of key things to think about here. First of all, the Bears don't have amazing assets when it comes to draft capital. Okay, so I know that the starting asking price for Russell Wilson was 3 first-round picks, and you think, great, Bears, 3 first-round picks for Russell Wilson. Absolutely, throw that in there and the deal is done. Well, not exactly. The Bears' first round picks are not as good as other teams' first round picks because we're picking 20th this year, okay? And you think if we actually get Russell Wilson, we're probably going to be a pretty damn good football team for at least a few years. So if you're Seattle, right, does the 20th pick this year, the 26th pick next year, and the 23rd pick the year after, does that really excite you? No. Okay, you're going to need more than that. So the Bears don't have amazing draft assets, so they're going to have to throw in some big-time players in a trade to get Russell Wilson. So that brings you on to trade chips, okay? The Bears are going to need to throw in trade chips to make a trade work, okay? So, there's an article here from CBS Sports, which I'll link in the description, that gives the most logical trade chips that the Bears could use mixed with first-round picks to get Russell Wilson, okay? So, quickly, some of the people that could be used in a trade, and some of these guys are definitely worse than others, but anyway, Nick Foles, Akeem Hicks, Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, Kyle Fuller, and Jalen Johnson. Now, 2 guys that this article didn't reference that I would throw in there. Darnell Mooney, first of all, because if you're throwing in Jalen Johnson, you may as well throw in Darnell Mooney. They're 2 of the same stud standout rookies that other teams would be interested in, you know, in a trade scenario. So if you're going to throw in Jalen Johnson, you may as well throw in Darnell Mooney. And I would also throw in Allen Robinson as well. He's our second biggest asset besides Khalil Mack. Time is ticking on the Bears tagging him, but the Bears still might tag him, and you know, a tag and trade is definitely a possibility when looking at the Bears trading for a quarterback. So I would throw Darnell Mooney and Allen Robinson in there as well. But if we're working off that list of trade chips, honestly, look, I'm gonna rip the band-aid off now. I think Khalil Mack might have to be thrown in there in a trade. I hate to say that. Khalil Mack is honestly one of my favorite Bears ever. He's my favorite player to watch on the team. He's ridiculous. But the team that we're trading with is going to need a tangible asset in return. As I said, our draft capital is not all that. You know, you're talking about the 20th pick this year and then picks in the 20s more than likely for the next couple of years. You're going to need a tangible asset in return. Khalil Mack is our biggest tangible asset. And on top of that, the Bears are not in a good cap situation. I think we're bottom 7 in the league in terms of cap space. And Khalil Mack had some big cap hits coming down the road. So when you're bringing in Russell Wilson, okay, to actually afford Russell Wilson and absorb his salary, it's pretty much a trade-off. If you trade Khalil Mack and you get out of those big cap hits, well then, you can, bringing Russell Wilson in, the numbers will add up and the Bears can actually afford it. That's why throwing Khalil Mack in a trade is probably what's going to have to happen. For other teams, they're going to want a tangible asset. Khalil Mack is the best edge rusher in football, so that's a pretty good tangible asset to throw in there. And cap-wise, it makes sense. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible cap-wise to keep Khalil Mack and bring in the other quarterback. It is possible. I just don't think teams are going to want... I don't know who other teams would want from the Bears other than Khalil Mack, right? If Allen Robinson is tag and traded, it's just a franchise tag. You don't have him on a long-term deal. Khalil Mack is our best asset and we have him on a long-term deal. So If you're looking then at possible trades, this is completely spitballing. We're not at the negotiating table here, but I don't know, like maybe would Khalil Mack and 2 first rounders do it? I don't know. Would it be Khalil Mack, 2 first rounders, and Jalen Johnson? Would it be 3 first rounders and Khalil Mack? Would it be 3 first rounders, and then if you take Khalil Mack out of it, so would it be like 3 first rounders, Kyle Fuller, and another defensive starter? I'm not 100% sure, but spitballing here, we're going to have to give up quite a lot. The Bears are completely desperate, and the Seahawks have no reason to trade him on paper. So I think the vast majority of us would still be like, yeah, absolutely, we would do it. But I still think there's a small portion of Bears fans that haven't fully thought out like the amount that we'd have to give up here. And there's probably a certain amount of people that look at it realistically and go, oh no, actually, I don't know if I'd do that. But I would. I mean, the Bears, we are fucked if we don't get a quarterback this offseason. It's do or die time now. Like, we are absolutely fucked. So really, the price can't be too high. And that's really what we have to keep thinking when we're talking about this, getting the quarterback situation right? The price is never going to be too high, because literally no matter what we do, if we don't get that quarterback right, like we're just fucked next year if we don't get this quarterback. So, you know, again, I hate to say it, I think Khalil Mack's going to be in there. Again, we're not at the negotiating table, so we're not sure exactly. If I was to guess, probably Khalil Mack and 2/3 first rounders. If you take Khalil Mack out, you're looking at 3 first rounders, probably 2 other starters, and maybe some second round picks as well. I mean, you're looking at a boatload of picks and 2 probably solid starters if Khalil Mack is not in the trade package. I'm not sure. Again, I'm spitballing here, but we'll know more in the next couple of days. As I said, Allen Robinson is to be tagged by tomorrow. I think tomorrow is the last day that the Bears can tag him. So, look, I'm sure the rumor report will keep going, but I think it's important for us to realise how much we will have to give up to get Russell Wilson. All that being said, I don't want to give up Khalil Mack. However, getting Russell Wilson, getting a quarterback of that standard is of utmost importance. That is what we need to do this offseason. So, yeah,